What up, folks? Johnny Lee Reynoso, JLR here, Reynoso Global, coming at you. Just hung up the phone with a client. Decided I got to share this with my folks. I got to share this with my sales closers. I got to share this with the sales nation. I got to share this with folks that want to force multiply their opportunities, force multiply their revenue, force multiply their bottom line, force multiply their goals. They want to go out there and kill it. Here's the deal. Very simple, but yet very critical. And I want to make sure everyone understands this because it's simple, but yet critical in order to help you close more opportunities and really continue to move these opportunities that you have currently in your pipeline down the funnel, right? Down the food chain so you could get them to the, to that finish line. Ink on paper. Ink on paper. That's the goal, right? That's the goal. That's why we're all on sales. We want some ink on paper. Here's the deal. Client came to me and said, look, we had some great meetings with some of these CEOs that you guys had teed up for us, right? Because we're in business development, right? Professional business development firm called C-Level Partners. At the end of the day, after doing a tremendous amount of work, a client comes up to us and says, look, when is following up too much? At what point do we decide we want to just turn these away? Because obviously, if they're not calling us back, if they're not replying back to an email, they must not be interested. Folks, when that happens, when I hear those things, I hear defeat. I hear sadness. I hear fear. I hear depression. Okay? I mean, come on. Antennas go right up in the air and I go right for it. Boom. And I hit them right where it hurts. Right where it hurts. Right between the eyes. Boom. So wait a minute. Let me get this straight, Mr. Client. We have visited with 6 Fortune 500 executives that have clearly defined interest, clearly expressed rather, interest in your product and services 6 to 8 weeks ago. The understanding is to get back together before the end of the year. Now we're approaching mid-November. We're almost going to get into Christmas, end of the year, and it's time for you to get back in front of these folks. You're telling me that basically, because they're not replying back to your third email and they haven't called back in your fourth voicemail, that you want to give up on what was already understood as a qualified prospect? Is that what you're telling me? Well, at what point do you think we should give up? I said, never. They said, well, that doesn't make any sense. I said, why doesn't it make sense? And they said, well, because at some point it becomes rude. Okay, so it's not rude that they don't reply back? So it's not rude that they don't, call you back? So it's not rude that they don't send you a note and an email? So it's not rude what they're doing, but you being persistent is considered rude? You're doing your job. You have value that you're trying to provide that client, that organization, because it's B2B, right? You have value that you're trying to bring to him and his business. And you're telling me that because there's some kind of loss of connection, because there's some kind of misunderstanding of value, which is obviously what's happening right now, that now there's no interest and let's move on to the next one? What, the next cold call? Where they don't even know who you are? You're more interested in chasing a new opportunity, which is great. You still want to keep the funnel going. But again, you're more interested in allocating all your time and efforts to go after what you don't even know yet, the uncertainty, when you know for sure there's a level of certainty with these prospects that you've already cultivated? Come on. So here's what we have coined, and here's what we truly believe in. We being, again, professional business development sales executives. It is your duty to be cordially persistent. Hear me out. Cordially persistent. Yes, cordially persistent. I know you like that. Why? Because if you're cordially persistent, you're empathetic to the fact that they're busy. You're empathetic to the fact that they're traveling, they have issues, there's family, personal issues, there's business issues, there's investor issues, whatever the case is. And they just haven't gotten back to you. That's where the cordial comes in. You come at it with a sensitive, empathetic, understanding approach to your follow-up. Persistent means you don't give up. It's your duty. Because here's what's gonna happen at the end of the day. One, which is to still your benefit, because then you have an opportunity still to go back. One is they're not going to address the challenge that they have, and you left them out there to dry still because you didn't follow up persistently and cordially. 2, they're going to try to self-medicate if they can, and maybe most likely not succeed, because if they could have done it already, they would have. Or the third one, they're going to hire a competitor who is more cordially persistent than you are. Folks, don't give up. You only give up when, 1, that executive is no longer there. So you give up with that person, you go find the other person because the problem's still going to stay in the organization. 2, when you're told we went with a competitor, then you give up in the immediate sense, but you create a timeline when you're going to go back after that person because obviously they spend your money, right? Because they hired a competitor. 3, you're told, I don't have the budget right now. Call me back in 3 to 6 months. And again, reverts back to the second one there, which is figure out the time frame and go back after the person again. Folks, you don't give up, okay? Follow up, cordially persistent, don't give up, and close more deals. Come on, let's get out there and start winning.